Hello, everybody. Uh-oh, I got the wrong people up. Hold on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with
Who do I need to
Allison.
be?
Huh?
Need to be. Do I need to be Hannah, Mike, and
No, 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 no. I
Brian?
can fix it really quick.
You can
I
fix
didn't do
it,
it on this. I didn't do it in this scene. I did it in the other scene. Uh,
so I don't have to. I don't
no,
have
you
to
don't have to
practice
do
my
like your
drunken
best
Brit
Hannah
voice.
impersonation. Um,
Impersonation.
yeah. This is Maintaining Frame number 49. Women, do you want to get married? Then never listen to married women. We're going to be talking a little bit about a video by, the channel is called POPlitics. I don't know if this woman owns the channel or if she's just, if it's like a bigger entity and she just makes content for it, but she made a video called Why Gen Z and Millennials Are No Longer Dating. And I thought we could look at some of the video, but we can also look at some of the other, well, we don't have to watch the videos, but like talk about the sort of like shift in the conversation about dating. It seems like people are starting to take notice of what we've been talking about for about 9 years, 10 years now. In August, it'll be 10. Regarding, the issues that men face. I saw a channel called Man Talks, and the title, it's a man, obviously, and the title is Marriage Dying, and is it even worth it? He also made a video about how 66% of men are just checked out of dating, according to a study. I don't know how accurate that is. And even Joe Rogan, who normally takes a little bit of time to dunk on MRAs, made a video called 60%, or Joe Rogan on 60% of young men being single.
So
I think that
how did he dunk on us this time?
well, he didn't dunk on us, but because I watched the whole thing, he was just kind of like, this is scary because, well, essentially it's like we're not forming families, we're not having children, we're not dating. What's happening, right? But I think the general issue though is that as a lot of these people do, I'm not speaking for Man Talks or this woman, but Joe Rogan's a good example of this. They want to talk about how, this is because of social media, this is because of the internet, this is because of the COVID lockdowns. I mean, look, I think that some of those things could have been a contributing factor, but it's not that. It's not that. I watched Man Talk's video, and he said what I was thinking, what I've been saying, which is that, essentially, women have it in their heads that they deserve men that are out of their league. And that's something that we see over and over and over. And I think that is part of the problem, because men in general are more than willing to settle, like, most of the time, because men consider themselves to be mid, and so they expect that if they find a mid girlfriend, then it's good. But men are considering themselves fives and sixes, and women are considering themselves tens all the time. Like it doesn't matter if they're overweight, doesn't matter if they take care of themselves. None of that matters. They're 10, and that is causing problems, right? So this is the thing, and I think this woman acknowledges that to some degree. So anyway, those are my thoughts about what we will probably be talking about today. And Allison, I know you want to say, you're chomping at the bit there.
Oh yeah, I do. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Honestly, what's really interesting about this is we were right there, like you said, 10 years ago, talking about the emotional and effect of all of how we frame the gender's interactions on men and on women, and warning about stuff like this because we see the leading edge of all of this, and of course we're the ones who get dunked on.
Yeah.
Like, those men's rights activists, those men's issues advocates, they got a point, but why can't they just shut up and go away?
Yeah, they're probably not qualified to talk about
Where did
this.
all these problems come from? Why did nobody give us a heads up? Jesus Christ.
Who'da thunk?
Who just got sideswiped by the fact that our civilization is doomed, and it's worse than that because we live in a Ponzi scheme based on the idea that the next generation is going to be bigger than our own. Do people realize that?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of our like everything we see around us is borrowed on the future labor of grandchildren that will never exist.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. I gotta say that, with some sympathy to millennials, young millennials, and Generation Z, you were propagandized into this. The women were bought into the idea that they're worth more than they actually are, and that they don't have to do, any personal growth or work on anything. And the boys have been taught that they are always going to be below standards. They're always going to be shit. And there's no wonder that so many boys are thinking, well, I should just live as a woman because I'm going to get something out of it,
Or as non-binary, or just
or be anything but a man, basically.
Anything but a man, or anything but a man who seeks a woman. Now, I just want to point out that I think there's something, like, I'm not sure what's going on with the stats, but as far as I can tell, it isn't 63% of men prefer to be single. It's 63% of men are single versus 37% of women. I don't know how that washes out. These polls are confusing as hell, but but there has been a huge
what men consider
decline.
Being in a relationship and what women consider being in a relationship are very different. Like a woman dates a guy, right? Let's say they have a one-night stand and she thinks we're together now, but the guy never made any promises. And I think part of the reason for that is that in general, the way that we have usually had it work is women, they gatekeep the sex, men gatekeep the commitment. And so if men aren't making commitments, they pretty much assume that no commitment has been made. But this also means that men have to constantly figure out where they stand with women, because you know what I'm saying? Like, they have to know that they're in good standing and the woman wants to be with them and they like them and they enjoy their company before a man says, well, we're dating now, or we should be dating now, or would you like to be my girlfriend, or whatever. But all of that, the men's input on that is basically just gone. Like men don't have a right to anything in that. It's all up to her. And that's, I think, why we're in a place where, women think they're in relationships that are not actually in. And hence the numbers are off like that. Or they're dating guys who are dating multiple women at the same time.
And they're considering that to be your actual relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Being part of a man's committee does not mean you are in a relationship with that man. Sorry, ladies, it's just not the case. But that's one possibility. But what's really interesting, and everybody's got this whole, I think they keep perpetuating this 63% of men are electively single.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's going on. No. But what is interesting is that the numbers of men seeking a relationship have dropped 10%.
Yeah.
They dropped from, 60 something of the men who are single to something like 50% of the men who are single. Now, honestly, that still leads a lot of guys seeking out a relationship or some kind of interaction with women. So I honestly, I think they really need to go back to these numbers and figure out what the hell is going on, because I don't know how you can draw conclusions about it. But if we are to believe anecdotally that she's correct and women are finding that men aren't interested anymore. I think honestly at this point, and once again, I'm going to say something and everybody's going to be like, oh, it's men's issues advocates, why they haven't blah, blah, blah. All right. It doesn't matter. Your relationship status, you just consider it a wash at this point, ladies. Like, if you're listening, you're probably not going to have a partner. You are going to be alone. You are going to die alone, and that is going to be it. However, the real question is, do you want to die alone in some kind of screwed up dystopian hellscape? Yeah. Where you starve to death in a ditch and no one cares, because you're just another literally just another body. Or do you want to live in a sort of like, high third world situation? You know what I mean? Not like a really scroungy third world, but sort of a nice third world, like, dare I say Mexico at this point? Just
India.
India. Like a nice India level of comfort. This is what American women have to decide now. You're not going to have relationships, but you can decide what the future holds if it's going to end up being a Somalia, a good way of putting it, versus an India.
This is basically Western women, like all the UK, Europe. It's all. I mean, if we keep our eye on Spain, we'll find out where we're headed because they're ahead of the curve on that. But
but I'm talking from an economic perspective, because I'm not kidding when I say we have invested in this Ponzi scheme. There isn't any grandchildren who are going to be paying off the debt that we're creating right now. And eventually that's gotta come due. And when it comes due, everything freaking collapses. So that's why I'm saying, do we go to a collapse of India, or do we go to a collapse of Somalia?
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously, that's your choice.
Uganda.
Forget about being married. Forget about relationships. Now we're at the stage that women need to start thinking about re-incentivizing and telling men the bare minimum. Yes, your work, keeping the lights on, is absolutely critical, and you should be respected as a man for it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm probably mangling what I'm saying, but a lot of things are flowing through our fingers right now.
Yeah.
And we got to make our decisions what we want to be able to keep. And I hate saying this because it's an awful thing to say, but women need to start, at the very least, respecting the fact that men keep the lights on, and they keep the heating going, and they keep basically everything in society running that matters. That at the end of the day, you can say, well, we can pay Clinisha to put up another Twitter or TikTok post and drink lattes while having her, or, I don't know, her wheatgrass frappuccino, whatever, and like what we're seeing coming out of these so-called Silicon Valley, like, entrepreneurial efforts, whatever those places are. We can do that, or we can pay Ted to keep the signal lights operating,
Mm-hmm.
and that decision, when it comes down to it, the vast majority of people who are absolutely critical to the running of our society and making sure people don't die are men.
Yeah.
And women right now, they have a choice, because what they incentivize will persist. And what women are incentivizing in the West among men is nothing, is absolute destructive, absolutely destructive.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where we're at.
Thanks for the heads up. So,
oh shit. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's depressing.
What?
But on the other hand, I mean, we do, if women can get it together enough to at least tell men that, maybe maintaining utilities is a good thing, and mostly men do it. I mean, I've been in a years-long argument with a feminist who cannot even allow that. She cannot even allow the blatant fact that if men disappeared, with them would go 95% of everything that keeps society running. Okay? 95% gone. That's sewage, that's heating, that's lighting, that's electricity. That is roads. 95% of that gone. No maintenance on any of it. We won't have a civilization without men. She will not, 100%, refuses to admit that. And it's all because of this kind of lack of gratitude and insecurity, profound insecurity. And it's all, like, at bare minimum, Western women should be thanking men for that. And we shouldn't just have like Memorial Day where we thank men, well, actually nobody does that anymore, I notice. Nobody says thank you men for your sacrifice in war and how many of you have died. We should also have Memorial Days for every other way that men's expendability has made a society that's worth living in. You know, how many men died for every single tunnel under a river that people just take for granted, or every single mile of track, or every single girder in a skyscraper? You know, how many men have died for that? How many men died for the dam, the big dam?
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on the name. Big dam. I saw it.
Hoover
I cannot
Dam?
remember the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
You know, they
Hoover
even
Dam.
have there's like a folk song about it. You know,
Yep.
and how many men died for the whale oil to light before we got, how many men died for the oil fields? Think about that. How many men died for what we have now? And we don't have a day where we thank them.
Yep.
We have a day, how many days now for women? You
Well,
know, like-
they took all of men's days, you know, so
Mm.
remember that. Well, we have Mother's Day coming up this, like, in 2 weeks. And I explained to people because they said, well, what about Father's Day? And I was like, Father's Day? That's not a thing. That's just single Mother's Day. So there's Mother's Day, and then there's single Mother's Day. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing actually respecting and memorializing
No.
how
no.
much.
I mean, like, even, what is it, Memorial Day gets made about men and women. And I'm not saying that there aren't women that, you know, are involved, but it's like, it's microscopic. The scale is microscopic compared to men. And we can't even acknowledge that reality because somebody might get their feelings hurt that's never actually taken any of these risks.
Can. But I'm telling you that this is it. Like this is the Rubicon. This is the watershed. Mm-hmm. You know, this is when we decide what kind of what kind of future we have. Are we gonna gracefully glide into sort of an India one pole of a bipolar system, the world economic system? You know, it's not bad. It's not. You're not gonna be living that bad, India style. Or are we gonna go Somali style? You know, this is what women get to decide now. Whatever you incentivize is what we get to keep. Now, we're not doing anything to incentivize the fundamental parts of our society that men are responsible for. We don't give them any recognition of how much they sacrifice to make sure this stuff keeps going. Mm-hmm. If we start, we might keep it. But...
And that's just if we talk about fathers and mothers. I mean, like you said, like we need something for the work that men do. And I mean, I don't want to drag this out too long because I want to get to what we're going to be talking about. But the real interesting thing about it is that generally men don't want that. So we have to back them up regardless, I think. Even though they're probably going to say, you know what, I'm just doing my job. Like, they don't think of it as some, you know, massive sacrifice that they're making in most cases, you know, so yeah, well, that has to change. And I think people are discovering that. So let me show you a couple things before we get into the video. So this is an article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I mean, you can't see the whole thing, but I'll read the headline. It says, fed up single woman, 32, furious over atrocious dating scene. I get ghosted by so many men. Do better. I wonder why nobody is calling you. I wonder why it's not working out. And, you know, it's this kind of like entitled attitude. But, you know, she's 32. At some point, she's going to figure out that maybe the problem isn't men. Like, okay. You know, and this is something that we see over and over and over.
All right. Well, I've had these, I've gotten into these arguments and they argue that men shouldn't have any expectations, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they think that it's men's expectations that are the problem here. I guess they are in this case because she's not meeting them. And she gets ghosted by so many men. Well, Yeah, but they have a right to ghost you.
Yeah, they don't have to date you. That's
They
just
don't
it.
have to date you, racist.
This is entitlement.
Like, this is sick. Like, they don't have to have sex with you. They do not have to touch you. They don't have to message you. They
Yep.
don't have to date you. You're not
Yep.
entitled to that.
Yep.
Well, how many times do we hear it with the reverse? The incels are just actually not even saying that, you know, that women are obligated to go out with them. They just want some honesty about what women want. I've literally seen an incel say, you know, women want the 6 6s. And then some dude be like, oh, you're such an incel. If only you had the 6 6s, women would want you. It's like, what? Did you just, what? Good. You're fucking slamming him for telling you what you actually believe and what you've observed about women. Like, how do you fit that much stupid into your pretzel brain?
Yep.
Oh, anyway, but like nobody owes you anything, lady. They don't owe you anything. And the other thing is that I get into these arguments, and they say, well, women are giving men companionship. They shouldn't have to give anything more than that. I'm like, companionship? Well, first of all, okay, so you're talking about friendship. First of all, I've never had a friend. If the friendship's over, I have to pay them half my income. You know, and I lose my kids or my dog or whatever. You know, and half my stuff. I don't recall any friendship that involves that. All these legal hooks, okay? Nor if I have a friend and they hit me in the face, the cops aren't going to come out and drag me to jail, because they do with men if their female companion ends up being a complete bastard. Okay?
Yep.
So there's that, and then there's the other thing. How many women in our society are absolutely saturated with contempt for men's gender identity and a belief that men are responsible for the ills of the world, simultaneously responsible for the ills of the world, and also fixing them and saving them from the own shit in their own life? Like, that's not companionship. That's not companionship. Women aren't even offering that, as far as I can tell. And I would say to any member of the spectrum of genders, how many of they are, that you should not date anyone who considers your gender identity beneath contempt and regards it as responsible for the problems of the world. No, you shouldn't. So how many women out there believe that? Well, that makes them undateable, as far as really they should be. They should consider themselves undateable because of that. And maybe men are waking up to it. I can only hope that men are waking up to the fact that you're not going to get companionship from someone who hates your gender identity or has contempt for it, or believes that men are responsible for the human ills, and wants to establish that kind of moral hierarchy in your relationship with you below them. Like, you're not going to get companionship from that. You're not going to get anything from that that's worth having. You're just going to get contempt and entitlement. Ugh.
Yeah.
But, you know...
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well...
Yeah, we
Yeah, let's get into the video. So, but I just want to say that I am this sort of like headline of a woman going, "Where are all the good men?" I mean, we've been talking about that for a long time. So it should not be a surprise, but I think that it's becoming, and I'm seeing more and more men, you know, when they respond to these things and comments and stuff, they're like, well, hey, you know, you gave us a raw deal. We don't want anything to do with it. Too bad. You know, if you want this to be better, then help us fix it. Otherwise, I'm sorry. I just don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, the first thing
anymore.
you can do, the first thing you can do as a woman is to sit down and remove the chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
About being oppressed, because you never were. That's the first. Deconstruct that. Don't start. You know, the instant I say that, you know, I can hear the wheels going, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, you never were. You never were. And that particular lie has run its course. Okay.
Yep. All right. Let's check it out. You ready? Allison?
Yes, I have my tea. I am ready.
All right, good. All right, here we go.
If you're a single girl out here in these streets and you're thinking, am I crazy? Or are these guys like not even wanting to date and hook up, let alone get married?
Am I the problem?
Are we why these men don't want to get married?
Yes.
Yes. And
100%,
like
yes.
basically most of it, you know.
Yes.
So
No, but what else is there?
well, I don't know.
Yep.
There are guys. Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. It's part. I think there are guys who are not living up to their potential, and that would make them unattractive. But I think that they're in the minority. I think most men are going to try something. And the problem is that women, when they say, you know, why aren't these guys dating me? They're not talking about any guy. They're talking about the top guys, like the Giga Chads. That's the one that they're like, oh, this is the unicorn man I want. Oh, he doesn't want me. What's wrong with men? No, no, no. Most men still probably would date you if you weren't like, you know, a horrible human being. But your standards are so high that those other men are invisible to you. So, of course, you're going to say, well, there's no men around because you're not even looking with a regular pair of eyes, you know? You're looking through that filter of like, you know, the 4/6s.
Okay, you know, I think what we should do with this is we should skip to the part where she starts to get really like it's about 5 minutes in.
Okay.
Yeah, like just skip about 5 minutes in because that's when she really gets interesting, and we should go back to the first part because honestly, I'm astounded at the fact that she gets a lot of stuff right.
Yeah.
But then she makes a fundamental error. And I wonder if it's because this kind of mentality has to attach to a enemy.
Yeah.
And have somebody that it's mocking, you know, and excluding unless she happens to also be a conservative woman. Like I know I call out conservative women and conservatives, but I think that, well, first of all, I think her definition of conservative might be very broad. I might actually be considered a conservative by this woman's definition.
Maybe.
Because I'm a classical liberal.
I mean, she doesn't... So I watched the whole video, and she does, like, sort of create a category of woman, and then calls it conservative, and sort of, like, you know, roasts that group, those trad wives on TikTok and stuff. But she's also not exactly like going after, well, she does talk about the ways that feminism contributed to this problem. So it's kind of hard to see where she's coming from. She might be like, you know, the doing conservatism right or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
I mean, like
let's
in her
just go
mind.
to 5. Around 5, I think.
She looks pretty, like, I would say conservative from her appearance. I mean, she's got books, and there's like a Roman head on her shelf and a disco ball, and she's wearing like a blazer. I don't know. I'm judging a book by its cover. Sue me. What was that?
Okay, so maybe we start at 4. Start at
4 minutes.
Yeah, and we'll go back to the beginning because that's
You want me to go back to the beginning?
No, we won't. We'll go back to the beginning after we do the end.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna be blazing through this really fast.
Yeah. All right.
Oh my! I did the vocal fry there.
The what?
The vocal fry.
Oh.
You know.
All right, let's play the thing. By the way, guys,
Yes.
if you want to send us a message, you can send a super
Oh
chow.
right.
What?
Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. Okay, you do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or do you want me to do it? Okay.
No, hit like,
right.
guys. Hit like. I see 55 viewers and only 22 likes. Smash the like button. It helps us like reach more people. And I've noticed that since you guys have been doing it, we do get like a couple of new faces in our live chat. So that's pretty cool. I like more. The more, the merrier is what I say. Okay, go ahead, Allison.
All right, so if you would like to send us a message, please go to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's the best way to get funds to us because it takes the least chunk out of it. And you can send a message up to about 2,000 characters, which is a lot of characters, but people still have managed to go over it. So be a little bit auspicious or judicious. And it also bypasses whatever weird thing YouTube considers to be wrong. So once again, that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Really helps because it goes to making sure we can pay for the Badger Cave during the month. So that's really critical. And if you could help out with that, that would be great. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip.
All right. So I got a
All
super
right.
chat just now from Mike for $2. And Mike says, 5-hour vocal fry ASMR stream. I think he's making a request. Is that like a personal attack or something?
No, it's probably a request. Like
No, I know it's a request. I was just doing I was quoting Brie Larson.
Sounding
Yeah, you got to do that for 5 hours. I think you're going to kill your vocal cords. I don't think it's possible. You have to bring somebody on who naturally has vocal fry. So, all right. Anyway, let's play the video. Let me just look in Rumble really quick. Hello, Zog the Magnificent, Mr. 0303, Mangaka 92. All right, let us go ahead and do this.
Is tied directly to how men show their love. Since the beginning of time, men have hunted and women were the gatherers and helpers. We switched this up as women and insisted that we can hunt instead, leaving men feeling confused and purposeless. In an act that drives men further into disorientation, women have chosen to blur the line between masculine and feminine energies, recognizing the different roles men and women
She's a crystal one. She's a crystal.
Yeah. She said energies. Yeah, I was like, God, oh boy, here comes the woo. She's spiritual but not religious, guys. They're really different.
Well, okay, I will be honest. They at least held the line when it came to certain corporate pharmaceutical corporate malfeasance.
Yeah.
Shall we say
the holistic population?
The holistic population. I noticed that they are one of the few stores left. Like when we go to a holistic store that doesn't do the
mandates,
the weird diversity occult flag thing.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting to have watched the evolution politically.
Yeah.
Because now they're lumped in with the far right. You know that, right?
Well, of course. I mean, it's not their doing.
You remember Fraggle Rock? Do you remember Fraggle Rock?
I never watched it, but I know of it.
Okay, well, there was just give me a second. Fraggle Rock. Come on, work, damn you. There was a character. Characters. Okay. Gobo, Moki, Wembley.
Jim MCL says Moki ?
Red Fraggle, Triangle. Okay. Boober Fraggle. I think it's Moki. Artistic hippie type Fraggle. Okay, Moki from Fraggle Rock. If you guys know what Fraggle Rock and who Moki is,
I've never seen it, but some people in the chat seem to know. She's the spiritualist,
hippie, crystal worshipping. Now she's far right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
Seriously. Yeah, of course. So anyway, I have some respect for the crystal worshippers. They actually.
No, I get it. Like, I get it, but saying masculine and feminine energies, it doesn't exactly it's not exactly on the target. I'll put it that way. It's like this thing that you say and people are like, oh yeah, like I get it. But it's like, do you though? Like, does this really point to the problem, or are you? Yeah. Is this language a little too flowery for? I mean, look, as long as your conclusions are the same, I don't really care how you got there. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the masculine and feminine energies. I think the real issue is a lot more fundamental than that. It's simply women have told men that everything they do is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And not surprisingly, that's led to a lot of men just checking out. Like, I don't know why, we say things like this and everybody like, oh my God, those men's issues advocates, they're just so extreme.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but that's just, okay. You know how reality has consequences? And this is the consequence when you realize that men aren't just an infinite Santa machine.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Santa machine doesn't work if you give it multiple inputs that make no sense and are contradictory. All right? Don't do that. And then you're like, oh my God, you men's rights activists, you're so extreme. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Extreme advocacy. All right, let's keep going.
Biologically hardwired to play does not mean that women must surrender our equality. It just means that men are motivated by the opportunity to show themselves as competitive, daring, adventurous, courageous in achieving. But we have made them feel like these traits are no longer
Okay,
valued.
just a sec. I got a dog melting down.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I hear it, but there's some Bork action going on. Good thing JoJo is sleeping with in the bed, so because he might be bugging me too.
Okay, I think it was the mailman.
Oh, of course.
Of course, it's always
Yeah.
such a thing. You know, it's either
Yeah.
mailman or squirrels. I'm not exactly sure what it is about squirrels that really sets dogs off.
Oh my god. JoJo, like he has a fit. Like but you know, he's I think it's because he's a hound. And so he's always thinking about hunting things. So
I think for a shepherding breed like Scipio, it's just this activity is not under my control or isn't under control. This activity is wild and unpredictable. I do not like this. I need a pattern to establish. Also, I think this animal has aerial supremacy over the house. I find this to be extremely distressing somehow. Because he also doesn't particularly like birds. But anyway.
So I will say though, she is putting the onus where it belongs. She acknowledges that these things, these traits that men have are things that are inherent to their nature, and she is also saying that it's basically like, you know, women contributed to this problem. Anyway, we'll keep going. She like some of the details are off. Like she says, you know, well, I'm not asking you guys to give up your equality. I'm like, what do you? What? No, I mean that's obvious, but also, like, do you really think that men and women are equal? And I'm serious here. Like, women enjoy a tremendous amount of advantages that men don't have. So, are you just trying to maintain a kind of like, oh, I wish it was, you know, 2012 again? You know, where I had all of these like obvious systemic advantages over men, and that's like, I don't know, that bugs me, but I'm just gonna write it off as okay. You're ignorant of the scale and scope of this problem because you're looking at it as just a dating thing.
Because women have chosen to demonstrate those traits ourselves. Instead, women should be secure enough to both praise men for these traits while knowing how to soften into our true feminine essence, which creates balance and peace needed for a healthy relationship.
Please don't soften into your
essence.
true feminine
Don't
feminine
soften
essence
into your essence, please.
on my couch.
At least
Please
not
don't do
yeah,
that.
like not in front of us. Just do that privately.
Not in front of us. Retain your rigid structure, madam.
You see how, and I think she's trying to, maybe she's just being really careful, but you see how she says, oh, women are doing all those things. Are they though? Like, are they doing it to the same extent? What do we consider female courage? Like talking to the human resources department about like some guy that made you feel weird, like
anonymously.
Like when you look at the lengths that men go to and the lengths that women go to, it's not equal. I mean, sometimes you'll get like that, you know, outlier case where a woman like risks it all to like save her kids from something. But in general, they're not doing that.
Well,
like
well, we don't consider, like, we consider masculine courage to be something to be relied on and expected. Do we consider courage in women? No. We are constantly saying that if women are afraid of something, the world needs to change to accommodate it, rather than women need to gain more courage. And the other thing is that no matter what she says about equality, men still are absolutely 100% required for their courage.
Yeah.
And for their particular interests and their particular ability to regard risk they have a higher risk tolerance. And that's absolutely necessary. It's why our society continues to exist. The fact that we're just pretending towards equality doesn't change that fact. The only thing that's different is we no longer acknowledge it. We no longer recognize it. We no longer even point to it and say that's manliness.
Yeah, it's considered an uncomfortable thing to say. You know,
and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, since coming here to Virginia, I met this older woman and at the dog park, and a couple of the other older women that bring their pets there, and I wanted to get them talking about, like, you know, what their experience was when they were younger. And what was really interesting is how much they admired masculine men. Because I like the topic of what's the name of the Charles Bronson came up, and I've always thought Charles Bronson's not a pretty looking guy. You know, he looks like he's part catfish. But and I don't mean that to be mean, because I like him in the movies, but the women were just, they were just gushing about this guy, okay? And I was like, what? Charles Bronson? And oh yeah, he's so masculine, and he's got this, you know, this face like it's carved out of like rock or wood or something. And I was like, wow, you know, I've never heard that before from like women of younger generations. And I just think it's interesting because they are acknowledging that what makes him appealing is less about his looks and more about like the kind of, you know, his like the characters he plays, you know, which are like, I wouldn't say, I don't like the word hyper masculine because that sounds like it's kind of like, you know, a dig, but just, you know, like they're playing like these manly archetypes. And that's what women are drawn to, at least these women, the ones I spoke to. And it was like half a dozen of them. So yeah, I mean, like, why was Johnny Cash so popular with women? Same thing, you know? So anyway.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna do agree. I mean, everybody has their own particular tastes.
Yeah, sure. It's not really about what the taste is. It's like the reasoning.
Yeah.
You know, is what I was asking about.
Okay, let's hear some more.
Continue.
Yeah. Women should embrace our traditionally feminine traits that can perfectly complement those of men. Nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, expressiveness, empathy, affection, and tenderness.
Do you want to... Okay, so I don't think any of these things are uniquely female. I know people in the chat are going to say that. But I think what she's saying is that this is something that women can do to help men, I guess. And she is calling for women to fall into a traditional role, so she probably is more
some kind of
conservative.
traditionalist,
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But I just want to say, not a lot on just laying out the positives of masculinity and the positives of men. You know, just going into all the positives of women. And I would also point out that over the last, I guess, generations, there's been a lot of discrediting the social status of mothers and wives, or even relationships. Like, I mean, if you say I've been in a relationship for 25 years, like, it doesn't have the same clout anymore. You know, it isn't respected. It isn't like, oh, yeah, if you spend 25 years in a relationship, you're doing a lot more growing than if you spend 25 years alone, honestly.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so but nobody respects that anymore. I mean, even she, at the beginning, she's like, oh, well, you know, traditional women don't have as much experience with relationships. Now, I don't know if she would include me, but I've been married 25 years, and essentially what she's saying is I have less experience with relationships than someone who's spent 25 years in 1 year relationships. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Because the thing is that at each point in a relationship comes new challenges. You know, getting old is a challenge. Finding work, getting an apartment, learning to work together, learning to live together, learning to just soften how your individual issues butt up against each other. You know, learning if you have a creature that's really reliant on you, like a dog or a kid. Cats aren't so much, but you know, you have to learn to raise that and work together to raise that. You know,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of growth that takes place in a relationship that you do not get single.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't, because you don't have to accommodate anyone but yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And there's no
also
recognition of that.
For guys that are watching, or anyone that's watching, if you're dating or have dated recently, have you experienced any of these supposedly uniquely feminine traits? Or are all of them, like all the women that you've been with, working on that girl boss grind like it's a whole vibe? Because, I mean, what she's saying is good, but I have to ask myself, how many women actually, like, do this? Do any of these things, if not all of them, to a partner, like, as opposed to maybe their children? And even then, I'm not sure that they do it for their children, because, you know, there's a reason why the single motherhood is resulting in, you know, lower impulse control in their offspring, girls hitting puberty earlier, more likely to become pregnant as teenagers, the men or the boys become, you know, are more likely to become criminals, and all of the other stuff that follows. That doesn't sound like it's a product of empathy, nurturance, sweetness, warmth, sensitivity, tenderness, gentleness, affection, and expressiveness. You know, so I wonder, like, how common are these traits in women these days? So,
well,
right.
And
yeah,
also, like, honestly, is this all right? I'm gonna be. I don't think that I'm any of this.
Oh, you probably are to Jonathan.
Maybe, a little, maybe.
I don't know,
But
and maybe his. I don't want to speculate.
okay, but
I appreciate these things from my wife, though.
yeah, I'm just saying that I don't know if I have any of this. But I mean, the only thing that I could really honestly say is loyalty for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like,
that's important. Honor. I know that's unheard of.
But that kind of thing, like, maybe they just would want a woman who's not going to stab them in the back and actually take responsibility for her own, what she wants in a relationship, and just be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, has a reasonable expectation for what you're going to get out of a relationship. That kind of thing. Like, and all of this other stuff is, I don't know. It just seems so. Is it really what is necessary?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sure, if you want a guy who's more conservative, you probably should embody these kind of feminine characteristics. And maybe in the previous eras, you know, I would have been completely unmarriageable. Because I don't. But I mean, in this one, can we go for not that, but loyalty? And to some degree, because of the amount of powers, political and social powers women have, you know, it's almost like you're called upon to be more courageous and more honorable, you know, in your conduct than
Going live. I don't know what that was. It was like some weird glitch. Oh, I'm back. We're back. We didn't lose it. Thank God. That was really annoying. And it was like out of nowhere. So Streamlabs OBS just closed. It just crashed suddenly, and I don't know why that is. So can't do nothing about it. But we are back. So at least the stream didn't suddenly end, although it may have. No, I think it's back. Yeah, we're back everywhere. Okay, cool. Sorry. So Allison, I'm sorry, you were saying I missed like the last minute.
we had a bit of a glitch. I was just saying, like, I don't know. It seems like this would be perfectly fine in a world where women didn't have the political and legal powers that they have now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, if you just want to slump into baking brownies and being hee, you know, and just have empathy and all this. I mean, that's a couple generations ago. And that's, you know, your husband controls your income, but also controls your debt, you know, pays for your debts kind of situation. That's like coverture. You want to go all the way back there, fine. But what we're dealing with now is a situation where women have these powers. So, and these powers mean that you have to have a different set of virtues, or you just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Okay? You either live up to them or you get rid of them. All right? And what you need now is loyalty, honor, and integrity more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just asking you. Maybe I'm completely freaking wrong.
Discipline and respect.
But if you had a cold bitch, but who was nevertheless loyal, had integrity and honor, and treated you with respect, you know, would that be better than some woman who's a cupcake but still stabs you in the back because she thinks of herself as a victim? And that's the other thing.
Well,
women need to stop thinking of themselves as victims, because
here's the thing
empowered.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, here's the thing about the patriarchy narrative. This is the reason why I get so like frustrated and annoyed when, you know, like normie types go, well, the first wave was good. This is the problem with that mentality. There's like a real, like, you know, like first of all, there is the idea that, hey, it's just not true. And we should be operating from the perspective of what the truth is, and not like some, you know, utopian like memory of what it was that Hollywood and the media and academics have constructed that isn't true. That's important. That's more important than anything else. But one of the other things that I think is a consequence of that kind of thinking is that women are buying into. I think they're buying into this idea that men have oppressed them all throughout history, and if they had an opportunity, they would do it again. And that now that women have, you know, economic power and political power and information power and social power, that they're going to use it to, you know, essentially like keep what they have and take as much as possible, because it's kind of like reparations. And but they only have, well, the only leg they have to stand on to claim that is this historical oppression bullshit narrative. And so if that dies, then they can't say, well, you know, men have always had power. It's like, no, that's never how it worked ever in history. And that needs to die. That lie has to die because otherwise women are going to basically be like, well, I mean, you know, if it weren't for the 60s, I'd be like, you know, shackled to the stove or something, you know? And so
well, it's just, okay. I was recently reading a novel, but not just like the summary of a novel. And it's like, I don't know where it's supposed to take place, but it's like some horrible patriarchy where women are just broodmares. I'm like, have you ever read about the Middle Ages or the High Middle Ages or the Renaissance?
Women still use this channel.
Yeah, that's not how it worked. Okay, like Louis the 15th, his wife basically said after the 10th child, yeah, I'm closing up shop. And there was nothing he could do about it.
Aw.
Okay?
Well, 10 kids is a lot.
Yeah, 10 kids is a lot. She was just tired. She was done with it. She's like, no more. And then he took mistresses with her blessing because she just didn't want to have to give birth to any more of his spawn.
Her uterus must have been one of those like turnstiles in the subway station. Like,
yeah.
People, kids just passing through.
Just passing through.
You know, yeah, they're just passing through.
Well, it's also because they'd use wet nurses.
Yeah.
And you know, she just got tired of it. And you know, women throughout history, yes, that was sort of a critical role that they give birth, because we wouldn't have existed. But it wasn't like it was, oh, that's all you were valued for. That's hardly like it. And women had incredible power throughout like the Middle Ages was a peasant culture. When they look at the actual situation for peasant women, they have power in their communities. In fact, they have sort of the ultimate power in their communities, because they are the ones who essentially deal with making sure everybody has food to eat, and you know, things are properly managed in terms of they don't get spoiled during winter, lighting, heating, shelter. Like, they make most of the decisions that actually impact the survival of everyone. And the men's role is generally more ritual, almost. It's like, yeah, you represent the family when the circuit court judge comes around every 2 freaking years, and then you all go gather, you know, the uncles to go enact retribution. But it's like this isn't a culture that was anti-woman or women had no power. And this medieval culture was very much a peasant culture. And I like some of the stuff people think about medieval times, that women were disrespected, that women didn't have power, and also that peasants just could be randomly killed by nobles. You realize that's when the shit hit the fan for nobles, right?
Yeah.
Like the peasants didn't like that. And a lot of why everything evolved the way it was to leave peasants out of conflict. Okay? And then it's so aggravating because I know I'm off in the weeds. I just want to complain about George R.R. Martin a bit. That guy's stories are not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're just a naive cynicism.
But he said they were. That means they are.
They aren't. Okay. All right. First book.
No, I know.
Okay,
I know. Look, I get it.
I
used to read lots of comic books, and when people when writers tried to do, what if it was real? And then it's always like, basically, what if it was nihilistic and dark and grimdark and sad?
And that isn't
and
realistic.
That's it. Like, people are just dying. It's like, is that realism?
Okay. All right. So, in the first book, there's a butcher's son that gets cut into pieces by one of the king's men-at-arms and given to his father. I'm like, that's a revolution right there.
Yeah,
you
right.
realize that? No, that's not, especially not because butchers were tradesmen in the Middle Ages. He's not even a serf, he's a tradesman. Do you know who the king's yeomen came from? Small property holders and tradesmen. That would be the king's most loyal soldiers, the ones that he relies on to not get killed by the other nobles, and he's just pissed all of them off. No, Martin, no. You don't have a fucking clue about medieval politics. Anyway, okay, this is really, really in the weeds. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, let's keep going. Yeah. All right.
I'd like
Brian's
to think
like,
that
why?
I'm a fair and nuanced person. I believe that I am capable of seeing both sides in pretty much anything. And another cultural thorn that women need to take some
Both sides. I think that's why she's doing this. Like, she is saying a lot of right things, but she's still, I think, because of this need, this need to find like the other side, right? How are women harmed by men, or whatever it is? That sort of like keeps her from like getting there, you know.
responsibility for is that we've decided as a gender that personal development is apparently a non-issue. Most of us have a God complex that is being fueled by toxic therapy culture, which is ironically making us worse, not better.
No lies detected. I'm just gonna keep going.
No lies detected.
No lies detected. For show.
Women have been brainwashed into thinking that we're perfect exactly the way we are, no matter how fat, lazy, mentally ill that could be.
You'll feel it soon.
I won't. I told you, okay? Endorphins don't work on me. And anything that's ever promised you a runner's high is full of
It has propelled the sin of self-obsession and created a barrier preventing us from considering any other possibility other than they want to hurt me, they're out to get me. Anyone that attempts to hold us to a higher standard is toxic and emotionally abusive.
Yep. No lies.
No lies detected. Still, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
good.
all right.
The glorification of hyper-selfishness propagandized us into the belief that every last one of us is a 9 or 10.
Ask the ladies to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10.
10. I'd say I'm a 10. 10. 10.
Are you fucking
Don't you
kidding
guys
me?
think-
Oh no. This is where I got. There was a massively overweight woman on this show, and she also considered herself a 10. She is known on the internet as Gorlock the Destroyer because she looks nothing like the other
I've
girls.
seen that meme.
But
I've seen that meme.
oh, you've
yeah.
seen the Gorlock, okay? But yeah, this is like, look. I mean, some people might say that these women are, an extreme like outlier, but I think it's probably closer to the truth that most women overestimate their worth. And one of the reasons for this is not just like all the girl boss energy that's been like thrown at them since fucking birth, but also men. There are simps that support that. Oh yeah, baby, you're a 10. Just let me, buy you a fucking like ham sandwich. So, in a way, men have in their own way contributed to this inflated sense of self-worth that a lot of women have. So
I think it's a bit delusional to rate yourself.
did you want to say something about that?
Like, honestly, I don't know. This just, let's keep going.
It's I'll just say it's okay to be mid. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, it's okay to be mid. There's nothing.
I'm mid.
There's no,
I'm very mid.
Yeah,
So,
I am mid too.
Yeah, I'm okay with being mid.
We're all mid here.
I think that most of us are mid. That's the point of mid.
Yes, it's just just mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that, and if we had more respect for relationships, two mid people getting together and managing to make it last for 25 years would be something that would make them not mid, or at least respectable. But it doesn't. Now everything is about this delusion about yourself.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, okay, let's look at these women. You scrub that makeup off.
I'll go back to when they were answering the questions.
Because they're all wearing makeup, even the ones that
of course
aren't.
they are. They knew they were going to be on a podcast.
Yeah. You scrub it off and yeah, they're mid.
Yeah, they're mid. Like they're not ugly. Not even the heavy one on the left. But their sense of self-worth makes them unattractive. I don't want to be around somebody who thinks they're a 10 all the time. You crazy?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in previous eras, like in the so-called horribly patriarchal eras, women were attractive for more than just physical appearance.
Yeah, well, that's right. They had to do more than just look good, because you could find good-looking women in the red light district, or the brothels or something.
Well, even then, like, it was okay. So, for example, like some cultural things. If you were a courtesan, you couldn't just be beautiful to catch the eye of the king. You also often had to be witty. And
talented.
Kings sometimes had some really weird taste, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, like, that's like geisha. I talked about geisha before. Yeah,
but like, also, it could be very bizarre what, for example, kings were attracted to.
Sure. Like feet.
Yeah, well, no, not just feet. Like, there was one I think it was English king who had two mistresses. One was enormously fat and the other was enormously, like, terrifyingly thin. And he just liked them, I just liked them. It's just, it's, people are very odd. And if we all want to just become this sort of cookie cutter one, then we're not really embracing the mid and just figuring out the other things that make us interesting and attractive. We all want to be on the cover of a Harlequin. Well, that's bullshit. Nobody's going to be that. I mean, it's fine if you enjoy that. I'm not going to shame you for enjoying that. I like romance, although my romance is it's usually different than the contemporary stuff. But, like, embrace your mid, discover what else is interesting about you.
Embrace the mid.
Life. Embrace the mid, and stop pretending like you are something that you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since, and this is the problem, like, I bet all of these women have had like a guy who's a 9+ inside them. Yeah. And now they're convinced that that's what they are.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I mean when I say that to some degree men have contributed to it. It's not just the mid men that are just like, they just desire female approval, but it's also the, guys at the top that are just like, well, I'll fuck her. And then she gets it in her head that that's what she deserves.
Yeah, but also, like, those guys are completely, like, the 9s and 10s that these women are going after in Tinder. I've noticed this. They're becoming more fucked in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they don't have social skills, which you don't when you just dial up a woman. She looks at your picture and she's, oh God, 7-pack. Oh, I'm right over there.
Yeah.
They have no social skills. They don't have anything else going for them. I mean, this is it. Like, you have women like this who are mid, who are fucking these men who are just physically attractive. And the men, that's basically their hobby, is being a sex addict. Woof. Jesus Christ. This is the culmination of our civilization, is it? I know, Skippy.
It does look that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think it's a bit delusional to rate yourself as a 10? So y'all are perfect.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, bruv, come on.
Every girl is a 10.
I don't.
Every woman's a 10? Is every guy a 10?
No.
Absolutely not.
Hold whoa.
See? Yeah, I mean, like, look, I don't know how common this attitude is amongst women, but the idea that they're like, yeah, every woman is a 10, that is a feminist idea. Every woman has value and it's all equal, right? And on the other side of that, when they say, well, is every man a 10? They're like, absolutely not. Why is that? Because of that narrative. They already have it in their head that men are inferior and should feel lucky to get, a woman.
Exactly.
Even the 9s and 10s should feel lucky.
The lie is so pervasive that we not only lie to ourselves, we lie to each other.
You are physically flawless.
Because of all this lying, we only entertain interest from men who are 9s or 10s. But realistically, we're likely only 6s and 7s ourselves. And
More like 4s and 5s in a lot of cases. I mean, you have no idea how low the bar is to be a 10. But yeah. Because a 7 is a really attractive woman, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how this works, but a 7 should be pretty attractive. A 10 is like, that's like, I don't know, that's like Super Saiyan woman. Like, that's like beyond, that's like you've never seen a 10 before, or maybe you have once. So,
ladies,
there are no 10s.
Yeah, I don't think there are.
10s are celestial beings.
Yeah, exactly. They're like mythical creatures. They live in some glade somewhere, like a Garden of Eden, and no one ever sees them. If a man dares lay eyes on a 10, he will be blinded by the beauty. So there are no 10s in the material world.
Exactly. There's no 10s in the material world.
Yeah.
They're just you guys. And
yeah.
It's okay, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going.
To be honest, I'm not going to rate you guys, but none of you are a 10.
women are operating in such a high level of delusion that we'll refuse to date our own level or lower while simultaneously strong-arming men into dating down, something that we're not even willing to do ourselves.
If you want a boyfriend, you have to drop your standard. You have to settle to be in a relationship. You have to settle for something less.
I don't think it's settling, though, because what's going on is you have average women that don't want to date average men.
All right.
Okay, it's not settling. Yeah, it is settling. Eventually, you have to be like, okay, this is what I got.
Well, she's saying that men have to settle.
Yeah, well...
It's not men that have to settle, though.
There are not enough men out there willing to settle, and they don't need to settle because you're all fucking them.
Not the top tier guys, no.
Not the top tier, like, why would they? And the other thing is that, like, at what point do we recognize that these top tier guys are not themselves desirable?
Yeah. Well,
these
again,
9s and 10s.
And that's the thing too, is that we're going off of like pretty shallow parameters.
Yes.
So, women are just looking at them and saying, he looks like he makes six figures.
Is it even that anymore? Or is it the fact that they have this look, right? That's attractive that they go for?
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, is it really? Because I don't see much matchmaking happening, but regardless, the guys on Tinder who are making bank, who apparently are the product, because the women aren't the product on Tinder, the mid men might as well not even exist on Tinder.
Yeah.
The high men, like the top so-called alpha men, are the product on Tinder.
Yeah.
That these women are buying.
Oh, for sure.
That keeps the model working. Like, if you are not, you don't have a 7-pack, you don't have a chiseled jaw, don't go on Tinder as a guy. You're not going to get anything. But the other thing is that what are these men on Tinder? Are they themselves in any way of benefit? Like, I mean, if they can go on and enjoy having sex addiction as a hobby, all power to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, that isn't developing yourself. That isn't becoming a rounded person. That isn't gaining a skill. that isn't even becoming social. It's just acting out, usually it's acting out some serious. So the guys that I know who are promiscuous, no offense to the people, because I know somebody will probably take offense. Most of my experience, they do it because there's something damaged about them.
Yeah.
In the past, like something hurt them. And this is their addiction. This is their addictive behavior that they act out that hurt. And well, whatever. It feels like it's just human dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalized, but monetized.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is I guess you could blame dating apps to some degree because of the way that they organize people meeting. I think that like men that are like legit 10s, they're not on Tinder. They already found someone. They're already in a relationship or married.
Yeah.
And like you're basically seeing like the 8s, and because those guys are still like the top of the bar in that particular space, the women will consider them 10s. But I think the 10s are gone. Like the men, the just like the women. All right. Anyway,
she's got a point though.
Yeah.
When you realize, okay, you're not a 10, and maybe you also have some problems, some mental health issues that you don't just be like, oh, I got to be accepted as for what I am, but realize that this is an issue. When you start taking stock, you can start saying, all right, if I get somebody who I can live with and grow with, that's good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't need to have the unicorn. You can just have somebody who you care about and who cares about you and has your back, and that's it. And I think men are much more likely to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think so.
And women aren't.
All right.
And I think men are finally waking up to that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Project and accuse men of being superficial, but modern women are the most superficial beings to ever exist.
Men are so superficial.
Would you date a guy that's shorter than you?
Absolutely not.
What has happened is women have cut out 98% of the potential dating pool and convinced themselves that they're cool sharing the top 2% of men, because we'd rather perpetually be in the talking stage with a 10 than having a meaningful, fulfilling, and monogamous relationship with a 7.
A 7 is still a pretty good looking guy.
That's very good. I mean,
yeah.
And again, is the woman a 7? I know that she's not trying to say that. I don't think she's trying to say that women who are like 4s deserve 7s. I think that she's basically just saying, women's expectations exceed their actual grasp, their ability to actually get what they're looking for, which isn't necessarily like sometimes I wonder if women go after the 10s because they like to make other women jealous, and not necessarily because they, think that that's a good man.
Well, there's a huge amount of competition. There's also social proof. A male 10 is a 10 because other women want him. And that's a real meat hook reality there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can only be attracted to a guy because other women are attracted to him, then you are only going to be attracted to guys who have plenty of other options.
Well, actually, if a woman discovers that a man is attractive to lots of other women, she will become attracted to that man when she wasn't before.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I think that's something that's driving Tinder too.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like a negative spiral, because what happens is women are really, I think what they're doing is they're like social proof. So I want the man who's attracted to, 5 women are attracted to him. So that's what, the top 20%. I want a man, 10 women are attracted to him. And that's like the top 10%, right? I want a man that 20 women are attracted. You see, and it keeps getting higher and higher. The inflation of social proof gets higher and higher and higher until you're left with almost no men that could possibly raise to that bar.
Mm-hmm.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with the men themselves. It's just the out of control hypergamy of social proof. And I think that's what's really happening, is you've got this feedback loop between hypergamy and social proof. So if a woman can attract a man who's in the top 20, but what if you could attract a man in the top 10? What if you could attract a man and who has 10 other women after him, or 20, or 100, and it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is that part of the delusion is that these women maybe think that they're in relationships with these men when they're not.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
If you can't accurately assess, here's how attractive I actually am, you're going to keep chasing after men that they're going to have an accurate assessment of what you look like, and they're going to say, I'll hook up with this girl, I'm never going to commit to her, I'll keep her along and keep her, I'll never give her a commitment.
According to Tinder data, while men swipe right on 40% of women on average.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are these men actually still doing this though?
Doing what?
Because it looks like men are declining more and more, not just in terms of wanting to date, but wanting to have sex.
Well, yeah, but the men who are most likely to attract women, so like the top men, I mean, they're just gonna fuck around, like that, like that. So this is why you will find that what is considered promiscuous for men seems to be on average a lower number, but that's not because men aren't having as much sex. I mean, it is like true, but it's because the top men are having a lot of sex, and the men, all the other men are having significantly less or no sex. And I mean, like, by sex, I should probably clarify, I'm also including relationships, so not just. And it
seems like there's overall fewer and fewer men each year even wanting to have sex.
Yeah, I think that's also changing. Or the men who were having a lot of sex are settling down, and so they're out of the dating pool.
Yeah, or they're going into that horrible nihilistic phase where they just, I don't know, they don't know what the hell they've done with their life. Anyway.
Well, that's another thing, is that men, even the Chads, they have to know what their actual worth is so that they don't end up with women that could psychologically damage them or otherwise abuse them. Because even those men are subject. I mean, look at Johnny Depp as an example. The guy could have any woman he wants, and he chose an abuser. And I mean, maybe he was just not in a good headspace at the time because he was like doing drugs and drinking and all these other things. So I mean, like, think about it. Like, that he's probably a good example of the kind of man I'm talking about, and the kind of man that like almost all women think that they are worthy of. Like, legit, okay. That's not delusional to them. So, okay. So let's see. Now she's going to talk about a new study. You guys remember the OkCupid study from like a few years ago? Or actually, it was a long time ago, where they discovered that women find most men on OkCupid below average attractiveness, whereas men found women to be about average. Like, they had like a more balanced view of like the women on that dating site. Well, I've also done one for Tinder, and she's going to talk about it. So here we go.
Tinder data. While men swipe right on 40% of women on average, this number is only 7% for women. No wonder men feel like dating is completely pointless. For the guys left barely hanging on, it feels nothing short of fatalistic. If a guy tries to embrace his masculinity and show chivalry, it's deemed toxic at best, sexual harassment at worst.
Excuse me, ma'am. I've been in a terrible car accident. My legs are pinned under the car, and I can't reach to get my phone. Can you please get some help?
Are you serious? I have a boyfriend.
It's true.
It's true, yeah. Like, I just watched this video that apparently did the rounds where this woman was filming this dude, and she said, this is what happens when you reject a man. But during the video, he's talking about, well, why did you? He specifically referenced her insulting his career or his choice of job, and I'm like, there's some context missing here. Why would he be talking about her attacking him and insulting his job if this was about him being rejected by her? I'm like, there's some context missing here that's really needed. And everybody was believing that this woman's framing of this encounter was some kind of I don't know, dating-based violence. And I'm like, yeah, but what if she attacked him and insulted his job?
Yeah.
You know, what if it had absolutely nothing to do with whether or not he found her attractive and attempted to, instigate some kind of date? You know, because it seems like this doesn't really, the evidence doesn't support the premise, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, let's continue.
Let's continue.
And it gets bleaker because men today are financially incentivized to not pursue marriage.
Are you single?
I'm actually, yes.
Why are you single?
Because it's expensive.
But he's right. But he's right. He's out of line, but he's right. He basically said, I think he said, bitches are expensive. So, and you know what? Yeah. Yeah, they can be. Because you have to flash your cash. So that women will basically see that you're going to be able to provide. So this puts men in a tough spot. And plus, men aren't really safe in a lot of workspaces because they could get accused of something by a woman that doesn't like them. And the whole work environment has been changed, right? It's female centric. Men lose their jobs. Men are put on a lower priority for things like hiring, for promotions, for raises, etc. So if men just earn enough to get by for themselves, then they'll just do that. And why wouldn't they? So anyway.
Women are 70% more likely to initiate divorce, according to the American Sociological Association. Men know if they choose the wrong woman, it will end in divorce. And the research shows that she will be the one to benefit, not him. While both spouses lose, men...
I like how she says it like it's shocking news, but we've known this. Like, you can look up old stand-up comedy routines by guys like Eddie Murphy, and half Eddie, right? And they'll tell you that was going on decades ago. So, Allison, you want to say anything, or?
No, I just want to say that, we've been talking about this for how many years?
Yeah, close to 10.
And
it'll be 10 years in April, I think, or no, August. In August.
It'll the only time that they pay attention is when suddenly men aren't paying attention. So I guess MGTOW was the way to do it. In the end.
Well, that is getting the attention of a lot of people that are looking at the replacement rates and women's happiness. Let's be real. So
women are not going to be happy when this Ponzi scheme collapses.
No, they're not. No, they're
or
not. But maybe they'll get a sense of perspective and be like, you know what? I've been doing this all wrong. But I mean, who am I kidding?
No. Maybe it could be the best thing that ever happened to them. They'll start realizing, oh, hey, maybe this horrible dystopia that we've constructed, I have to find a partner and actually survive in it.
Yeah.
and the process of bonding over the process of survival and dealing with shit will make you happy because you'll discover what love is. All right.
Yep. All right. So I have a super chat from Albatross who gives us $5.
Okay.
And says, I'm tired of the exasperated claim that if we give up on dating, it's the end of the species. There's 8 billion of us, we not going extinct tomorrow. Well, no one's saying that, but I think it is a problem. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying it. This planet is not overpopulated. So please don't give me that. If people want to make families, we should give them as much incentive and room to do so, but the problem is
the problem is that we don't need we don't need more people necessarily. Well, unfortunately, our financial system is based on that, and we've been borrowing a lot in the West. And what we've been doing is we've been exchanging debt for other countries' productivity. And that is going to come due. So we can say, we don't need to have children. Well, okay, but then we need to figure out how we're going to survive the collapse.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the system is structured. We've been pushing that off of into the future, onto the future children that aren't going to happen because nobody's having children anymore.
Right.
So what happens then? What happens when all of this collapses? How do we maintain even survival without a system where money works? Okay, so yeah, sure, we can talk about not having kids, whatever, but there's going to be some realities that we have to face if that happens. And it's going to happen. I mean, we're not going to be fixing this.
Yep.
So we have to decide how we're going to ameliorate the damage that's going to be done. And I can tell you, like, what happens when the debt, and there's no way that people realize there's no way the West's ever going to pay its debt back because it's not having children. It has nobody to put the debt on in the future.
Yep.
Okay, what happens when that happens? And then money loses a significant amount of its value. That's a painful thought, isn't it? Well, what's going to motivate men to continue to keep society running?
All right, so thank you for the super chat. Let's continue.
Typically suffer a larger hit because of child support and alimony. Men are looking at this and weighing the risks, and the unfortunate reality for women is that instead of seeing these statistics and thinking, okay, true love in a family is a pro that outweighs the con, they opt out of the equation entirely. Men are more willing to put up with loneliness because in their mind, they'll still get to keep their money and dignity. Plus,
I mean, yeah. Again, like, it's you know, women, you don't really have to offer. Like, it's not a massive sacrifice. Just don't treat him like shit. And, you know, like, work with him, cooperate.
It's so funny how we have constructed this system that's ultimately pretty destructive and self-destructive simply because women don't want to feel reliant on men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's probably where harems came from, too. I know it sounds really strange, but probably harem girls thought they were completely independent and empowered.
Probably.
And they existed within the only world that really mattered.
Yeah.
You know, and this is it. Like, our great final action as a society is women's empowerment, so-called empowerment, which isn't empowerment.
No.
Like, it's just creating this sense that women don't need men to accommodate an insecurity. And it's just this whole constructed landscape where women think they don't need men, even though men continue to do the majority of the work of society. They don't need to even recognize that or any aspect of that, and they can continue to rely on it and just live in a fantasy land. And the big thing, like, a lot of people will say, well, it's the lack of relationships and children. It's not even that. It's the lack of any kind of sense of reality or positive feedback. Yeah, and I know that, like you said, Brian, that men would be just like, well, it's my job. But really, are men going to continue to do a job if they think it's actively harmful?
No, I mean, I think it'll wear out. I mean, I think men have, like, done an amazing job of hanging in there this long. But I think that it's not something that can last.
Literally, what is the stopgap? What is the gap here? It's money. And I've actually said on Twitter that
it's resources.
I almost want the universal basic income to come in, because then once we get rid of that final incentive for men to continue to construct this society, we are going to see how little we have left.
Yeah.
No. Once it's gone, like, once men get a universal basic income, they're going to have no impetus to go out there and do all of the jobs that are absolutely 100% horrible.
Yeah.
And maybe we should do that. Maybe we should totally free men from their yoke.
Well, they're going to end up being made into slaves so that they can, like, earn resources so that we can give it to women. So I don't know that we're going to be freeing men if we institute that, because they're going to need a workforce, and men are going to be there by hook or by crook. But
that's probably why they haven't done it, because they know they haven't done it because they know that's exactly what would occur.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
And dignity. Plus, thanks to the pandemic, they have learned that they can also get all of their sexual and self-esteem needs met without leaving their couch.
Self-esteem?
Confidence.
Well, I don't think porn does anything for a man's self-esteem, but if he is giving money to e-girls online, he might be getting a boost from them because they thrive on their like the kind of girlfriend experience they offer to their audience of men. So I don't know if that should be good for their self-esteem, but maybe it helps. Maybe men just want to feel like there's a woman out there that likes them, and the e-girls, they kind of scratch that itch. So
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, porn doesn't necessarily do that, but okay, let's keep going.
Confidence is boosted through comments, likes, and retweets on social media. Sexual needs are met through pornography. Why would men feel motivated to go to bars, for example, to spend their money on drinks for women who may or may not even be interested?
There's a lot of bars in New York City.
You go up to someone in a bar and be like, why are you talking to me?
You can cut to the chase with pornography.
Okay.
And
We have to...
I know. I was just going to pause it.
Yeah, let's pause it.
I am playing it a little
right.
fat, like at a higher speed. That's why she's talking like that. It's not because she sounds like that.
Yeah, I would just point out that the fact that more men are like that Pornhub offered a free premium membership would suggest the increase might be attributable to that. I'm sure that maybe more men are on Pornhub. Who knows? But I don't know. I think that this data is a little bit might be sullied or not, or compromised by the fact that this reflects them giving
the
out
sex trafficking data they were looking at.
Worldwide traffic changes, percentage of traffic compared to an average day. Major free porn website Pornhub has seen increased traffic since it began offering countries under lockdown free premium membership. Well, yeah, they just offered free premium membership. Of course, it's going to see more traffic. That's what I'm saying.
So this isn't actually sex trafficking. This is traffic to Pornhub as a website.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, it's very misleading. Yeah, I was just like, what is this? Okay.
But again, like, is that men's fault? I don't know if she's saying that, but it's not men's fault.
No, she's just saying that men are getting more from porn.
Yeah, they're getting their needs met.
Well, the honest to God truth is, I can't. Like, that's incredible. Like, the modern woman is now outclassed by porn and a fleshlight.
Yeah.
Like, how do you manage that?
Well, they probably wouldn't like to come face to face with that reality. But I think that men, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Men are practical that way. They're pragmatic. They're like, well, I can't find a woman. I guess I'll go to this free website. That's the thing. Like, a lot of porn is free, so you don't even have to like pay for a membership. And I don't even think Pornhub is the number one place. I don't know what is, but I'm sure this is the only one. There's tons of porno on the internet.
I'm just saying that the statistics are not exact. Like, this is the statistics of traffic to porn, to Pornhub as a result of them giving away premium membership. Like, dude, this is not. I'm not disagreeing with the overall argument, but I don't think this is strong evidence of it.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. Okay.
There was an interesting talk at ICMI 2016. Martin Daubney did it about porn addiction, and I do think that it's not something we should ignore. I know a lot of people say, well, like, there's no harm in it or whatever, but there might be. It might be worth looking into. I think too much porn consumption can mess you up. So,
well, honestly, to think about the alternative.
I know. I mean, the alternative would be, I'm not saying women. It could just be celibacy. You could just, like, focus on other things. Like, just, because I think that porn only makes you more focused on sex. So, what was that?
No, the doggo is borfing.
Oh, okay.
He's having a boof. He's boofing. So that usually precedes a bark. Okay,
All right,
let's
keep
continue.
going.
Many men took advantage of the opportunity in lockdown. Fast forward 2 years later, the habit has been formed and the men are drastically different. The false identity of women and the increasing apathy of men, to say the least, is literally adding up to human extinction at this point.
All right.
No. Well, maybe the extinction of the West.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Gen Z and young millennials are just not getting married. We are living through a serious crisis. The eligible bachelors are buying pretend land in the metaverse and subscribing to the OnlyFans of the girl next door. They aren't building a house or a life beyond the digital landscape because we've done a horrible job as women making commitment and marriage look like a worthwhile risk.
Oh no, my dear. Oh no. A worthwhile risk. Okay, this is just the end result. Like, this is... We were saying that this is not a worthwhile risk 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now that women are delusional, they exaggerate their value. You know, honestly, this is a good thing in a way. I'm going to go back to what Albatross said. This is the bottom of Pandora's box. Now all of these women are basically not getting married. They're throwing their sex. They're basically having these non-relationships with the top 10% of men. But then again, men aren't getting hooked by the meat hook realities of marriage anymore.
Yeah.
You know, the mask is off. The lizard face is out, and we're all nearing the singularity of honesty. You know what I mean? We're getting there. We might just tip into being honest with ourselves and with our society. Maybe. One can hope. And the fact that men aren't getting married anymore, the fact that it's now the bait on the hook is so rancid, men are just like, yeah, you know, I don't think so. I mean, it never should have been a baited hook in the first place.
Yeah.
Like she says, oh, men don't think that women are worth the risk. You never were worth the risks. You've just become so appalling that you're literally forcing men away. That's good. Women were never worth these risks.
How about
They were never worth the risks of divorce. They were never worth getting away from no-fault divorce or getting away from fault divorce. Getting away from, and if you want to do that, actually, you could. You could just have a handshake and everybody walks away. No money's exchanged. Presumption of joint custody, the end. That's not what happened. Okay? Mm-hmm. You made men run a gauntlet upon divorce. At your will, ladies. You destroy his life at your will. You were never worth that. But only now, men are waking up to that fact. And it's not even because of them. It's because it's so glaringly obvious that you hate men that no men want to be around you. Like, how much crap did you think you could spew? Like, how much, patriarchal privilege, toxic masculinity, patriarchy, how much of this shit did you think you could spew and just keep trucking on?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, before men just finally grow a fucking spine and realize you cannot 100%. Let me tell you something. You get more companionship from a fucking silicone sex doll than you do from a woman who hates your gender. You get more legitimate love from a piece of silicone than you do from a woman who talks about toxic masculinity and has absolutely no ability to identify anything positive. Okay? Like, at least the silicone is neutral. The other is a hate machine, a misery machine that you have latched onto your carotid artery and given the ability to tear your throat out. Why was this ever considered something that women were worth? Okay, a woman who's worth something will sign on to a lifetime deal of loyalty and honor and integrity. She won't sign on to the no-fault shit, but you can't do that now because it's there. It's right there. And all of the meat hook realities it represents are right there. So let me tell you what women need to do. Women need to become advocates for men's issues. That's what they need to do. They need to become vocal advocates for women's issues or men's issues. They need to start vocally talking about the issues that men face in divorce court, when they lose their children, when they lose their livelihoods. They need to step up and be brave for once and face the feminist punches that will inevitably occur if they stand up to the queen bees who want to continue to fuck this society into oblivion. That's what women need to do. They need to stand up for men. They need to start kicking this shit out of their life and stop talking about being oppressed. You never were, ever. Face the fact that you were wrong. Face the fact you can be wrong, because that's what this whole narrative gives. This lie, and it was always a lie. It's never been scientifically proven. Nobody's even thought that they had to prove this scientifically. This is the worst fucking shit to ever come out of academia. The most unsourced, unsubstantiated, constantly proven wrong shit. This is the anus of the fucking anus of the devil right here is feminism and all the crap that surrounds it. This is ground zero for the bullshit. And women need to kick it out of their life. I don't care if it makes you feel like you're going to win arguments. I don't care if it makes you feel like you're right. I don't care if it soothes your insecurities. Okay? Kick it out. Challenge it. Remove it. You don't have to be a fucking conservative woman to do it. In fact, conservative women need to do this too, because you got a whole shitload of it as well. All right? Kick it out. Kick out the idea of men being more sinful than women. Kick out the idea of men's sexuality being more demonic than women. Kick it all out. Kick it to the curb. That's what women need to do, and they need to do it not because they're going to get a husband at the end of the day, but because our society is running to a fucking halt because of the lie and because of the bullshit that we keep spewing about each other and about the world as it has been constructed. All right? That's what women need to do.
All right.
And if they're not doing it, you don't deserve a man. And I would honestly beg men to just gain the spine to start telling women or to start realizing that 100% a fleshlight in porn is a better companion than a woman who wants to morally dominate you based on a lie.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. There's only a little bit left in this video.
Unfortunately, I don't have a feel-good solution for you. I personally think Gen Z and younger millennial men may be a lost cause, but
they're not a lost cause. Okay, that really infuriates me. They are not the lost cause. They are doing what men have done throughout all of human history, which is try to figure out what women want from them.
Mm-hmm.
You are the lost cause.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the note. Wasn't that in the Notebook? When I don't remember. It was like Ryan Gosling and the girl, and he's like, "Just tell me what you want." Yeah. She's like, "It's not that easy."
Jesus Christ, some integrity and honor, like women who could just express what they want. I can tell you what I want. I want men to want more.
Yeah.
I want men to expect more. I don't know if I'll ever get that, what I want, but that's what I want. I want men to have more pride in themselves. Because you guys have not failed a damn thing. All the conservatives talking about how weak men, blah, blah, blah. No, incomprehensible women's desires is what destroys societies.
Mm-hmm.
Women who pursue their own personal agendas at the expense of everyone else is what destroys societies. Harem intrigues destroy societies. Revenge, like tribalistic revenge pushed by the mothers who can't get over whatever fucking shit happened 200 years ago. That's what destroys societies. All right? Okay? Yep. The freaking Bible is right. The whore of Babylon destroys societies. And we're not recognizing this. We're not recognizing women's culpability. And I don't see how men have failed at all. Even with all the conservative bullshit about fucking weak men. Really, where are the weak men? You mean the guys who are still continuing to fix the sewer lines, still continuing to make sure that the electrical cables run, even as if it results in a greater rate of their deaths? Like, men are still bearing the brunt of this society. So where the fuck are the weak men? Where are they? Are they all the men who have been disenfranchised that would have usually gotten some kind of middle management job but got pushed out for women so your daughters could feel like they were doing something? You know, are those the weak men? Because it looks like men are still doing what they always did, which is protect and provide for everyone else. It's the women who are the problem. There are no lost causes. Like, we would even say that if women were subject to the same kind of demotivational hatred that young men are subject to, we would definitely point to that to explain how they became the lost cause or how they were disenfranchised. Hell, we even think if women can't see themselves in success, they can't possibly model success, right? Like this, but we won't afford the same latitude for men. It's not men and it's not young men who failed. It's society. And it's these crazy ass women who don't know what the fuck they're doing or what they want and want to ask me. Like, literally, how can it not be women? Women are the ones who are trying to fucking tell men to create society, but no, not like that, because that's patriarchy and your actions are obviously toxic to women, but you still have to do them because that would be toxic to... It's like, how can you put this much high volume bullshit into the water and not take responsibility for it and not be expected to take responsibility for it? Good God. And I don't see how I'm wrong. This is what's so infuriating about it. How can you constantly tell men that they're responsible for a system that oppresses women and then in the next breath expect men to be able to continue to construct that system? How am I wrong?
Right. No, I don't think you are.
Okay.
All right.
I know you don't think I am.
Yeah.
Is instill better self-worth in the men of Gen Alpha. That's the generation that comes after Gen Z. Because if not, this will be the end. We are already at 63% of men under 30 who have just left the dating market. If we don't change course now, that statistic will reach 100% in no time. If you think I'm off base at all, I am open to criticism. Send this video to the young men in your life and ask them if anything I said is untrue. Ladies, let's commit to letting men be men.
You gotta zero it out. Honestly. What? I think this has got to zero out before it gets better.
Yeah, maybe. Probably.
And women need to listen to this.
They do.
You need to be open and vocal advocates for men. Not just Johnny Depp, because there's a lot of women who are sort of, I guess that was a huge slap in the face for a lot of women. But there are plenty of men who are suffering who weren't in the top 1% like Johnny Depp. I mean, it's like, you don't even have to freaking, like she said, you don't have to give up your so-called equality. I don't think that was ever possible.
Yeah.
But you just...
I even don't think that it should have to be said, but I get it because, again, women have been propagandized to think that, let me just put this back up. For some reason, it didn't save the changes I made. Women are propagandized to think that if they... show any weakness, I guess, men are just going to jump in there and take away their rights, which is like, it's obviously ridiculous, but I think that women have been conditioned to think it. I mean, every time, something happens that could be in any way interpreted as oppression, all the women start whining about The Handmaid's Tale and wearing pussy hats and all of that because I think they're in a state of absolute paranoid delusion that men, if they get a chance, will destroy them. And I don't think that's what hardly any men want to do that. And the few that might,
hardly any men want to destroy women.
Yeah, hardly any. No, what I'm saying is that even in the case where a man might want to do that, he probably also wants to do that to men. So it's not like he has a thing against women in particular. It's like Elliot Rodger. You know, everybody will tell you that Elliot Rodger hated women, but he killed men. So
yeah, he killed men a lot more brutally.
What's more important, what he says or what he does?
Okay, let's go to the beginning because it's ridiculous.
All right, I'm going to the beginning. Let's see. So from here, I guess.
Let alone get married. Am I the problem? Are we why these men don't want to get married? Ugh.
Yes.
I have good news and bad news. The good news is you're not crazy. The bad news is it's worse than you thought. The very minuscule amount.
Yeah.
All right, so we just have to stop to make sure that we don't get hit by the algorithm. And
sure.
Although I don't know if this channel is going to have that kind of algorithm.
Well, they're kind of small, but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Let's keep going.
All right.
The very minuscule amount of kingpin level good men, the ones that are actually husband material, are almost certainly already married, about to be, or here's your very grim reality check, rotting away to near extinction.
Well, what does that even mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, there, like it says here, Cristiano Ronaldo takes extreme measures to not marry his girlfriend. So, I mean, he like these footballers, man, these athletes, they're like getting woke on this shit, like this, like the you know, because of what's happened to so many other athletes before. But yeah, extinctions. Well, I mean, why are they doing that? Like, that's the thing. Like, why is it just because they're afraid to commit? No, it's because they know it's dangerous, or they're not given the opportunity because women are not looking at them, and that's like most men are just not getting the opportunity. They're not getting the chance, and the few that do, most of those guys are like, no, I'm not fucking with you. You know, I'm not gonna marry you. I'm not gonna put a ring on it. So
I was thinking about this. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess people could argue that, you know, my relationship, not something to aspire to, perhaps, because, you know, Jonathan isn't 777 or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? We're all mid. But at the same time, as all of these women, all of those supposed tens, they're never going to have a companion. They're never going to know what it's like to love someone. They're never going to know what it's like to be protected by someone or cared for by someone.
Well, yeah.
They're never going to know what it's like to have someone sacrifice their life. Like, not just, you know, with a bullet, but just every day. Like, okay, this is the person that I will be okay with if my last day is with them. They're never going to experience any of that. They're never going to have a person who means that much to them, or they mean that much to. None of that's going to be theirs. Their life is going to be buying shit, having a middle management job, getting cats, probably because a dog would be just too much emotional. It's not that cats are bad, it's just that cats are very emotionally independent. They're a little bit wild, they take care of themselves.
Yeah, so they want what they want when they want it.
They're never going to have that kind of interdependence. Yeah, they're never going to have that kind of interdependence with anyone. And what will they have achieved when they go into their grave? You know, I mean, and you know, and they did studies that the people who are happiest are the ones who have relationships with other people. You know, and I'm like, look at this, and it's like, well, what have you achieved by waiting? By excluding the mid men? You know, what have you achieved in your life by doing that? You know, you were never in the running for a fairy tale wedding married to a prince. God, I wouldn't want to be married to Harry, but regardless,
Yeah.
you know, that you were never in the running for that. You were never going to get that. You were never going to get Mr. 9 or Mr. 777. You're never going to get that. So all you were ever going to get was either companionship or nothing. And you chose nothing. I mean, literally, you chose a man. You had the choice between a guy who could have been a companion to you, who you could have grown with, you could have grown old with, you could have faced the world with, you could have had somebody by your side with, you know, you could have built something with. You replaced that with fucking nothing. You're a joke.
Yep.
You know, I would commiserate with you, but you chose it. You chose fucking nothing. You literally chose nothing because of a delusion.
Mm-hmm.
That's women.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, choose nothing then. But really, who cares? I mean, aside from the fact that our society is probably going to be crushed by the weight of women's choices, I mean, that might happen after we die. You and me, Brian. We'll have
maybe.
a good run, maybe. You know, and then our civilization will grind to a halt, and it'll be over. And then somebody else will take over, and c'est la vie. So it goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's women that age that are really going to feel it.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we're going to be holding this off. We might hold it off till 2050. You know, maybe a little bit further. But by the time these women, I think they're probably in their 20s. They're in their 50s. Oh, it's going to be a rough world for them.
Yep.
Oh God. All right.
All right.
It's not going to be because of global
more, or
warming.
is that it?
Yeah. Let's get to the craziness that she got up to.
All right.
There goes our last mail.
Oh my god, I hate out Clark. She's so dramatic. Am I?
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am.
Turns out, the large majority of men 18 to 30 years old are single by choice.
All right, I'm just pausing
Yeah,
it there for
I
the
think
banana.
that's where the error came in. I think that the real issue is that the number of men who are looking for anyone is dropping precipitously.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. But here's
You're
the thing.
not-
This is where it gets a little bit crazy, what she says.
Yeah.
Crazy after all. Don't believe me? A new Pew Research study found that 63% of men don't want to pursue any sort of relationship with women. That means serious or casual. They literally feel no motivation to leave their house, period. You know things are bad when guys think a booty call is too much work.
All right, I'm again just
Okay,
pausing
here's
for
the
the
banana.
banana. Maybe a booty call is too much work. Maybe it's more than a booty call.
The evidence points to some very specific problems. I've seen multiple conservative commentators speculate about what they think is the root of this shift, and no surprise, they're wrong. Let me tell you something about 99% of female commentators on the right who talk about dating, culture, and relationships. Hardly any of them have had significant real-world experience with dating, culture, and relationships.
Okay, here's the thing. All right, they haven't had significant real-world experience with relationships. Okay, you date in order to get into a relationship, presumably, right? So dating and not ending with a relationship is failure. So, you know, like you're taking the bar to become a lawyer. You know, and you're saying, oh, they have more experience being a lawyer than taking the bar exam. Yes, you may have more experience taking the bar exam. But that doesn't mean people should listen to you about how to become a lawyer. In fact, it means the exact opposite. Right? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was too attenuated. Okay, when you're dating to try to get into a relationship. Like the relationship is the success. She's saying, I have more experience with failing than with success.
No, yeah, I understand. Because she
relative
hasn't.
to,
well, I don't know. Yeah, this woman probably did have some failed relationships. She didn't say it.
Okay.
But she kind of said it. So.
Yeah, she kind of said it. And the other thing is that she says that traditional women in relationships don't have experience with relationships. I beg to differ. I think they probably do have experience with relationships because they are in one. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like just because you have a whole bunch of relationships doesn't mean you have experience with being in a relationship.
They also might know what a good
past.
relationship looks like if their mother and father are married and together and all that.
Yeah.
So,
So I just found this like really. This first bit was just like the last bit was good because she outlined everything. She had a few problems, I think, in what she was saying, but this is where it was like, what the hell are you on? Why are you embracing failure? Like women who are married are the women you should talk to if you want to be married.
Yeah.
And emulate. Like, okay, not the women who are dating.
Yeah.
All right, let's just finish a little bit more and then we're done.
All right. Let's do a little bit more. I did get a super Rumble rant. I'm sorry, a Rumble rant from NovaFan21, who gives us $1 and says, "Thank you, Hannah." That's not Hannah. That's Allison you're talking about.
It's Allison.
Yeah, it's not Hannah. It's Allison.
Hannah?
What you said has been spot on. At this point, I feel the only worthy question is, what percentage of Western women won't learn from their mistakes? Well, I mean, I'm afraid we don't have the answer to that. It's probably a lot. But maybe if women are humbled enough, they might like look in the mirror and figure something out. So that's all we can really. I mean, it's out of our hands. I mean, we have been yelling about this forever, and I'm glad to see that more people are starting to like see there's a problem and they're talking about it. But at the end of the day, you know, if women don't like stand up and stand for men, well, we get what we get, I guess. So maybe we'll do better next time.
Relationships. They think they're too highbrow for dating apps.
You're disgusting, and I hate you.
They marry the first or second guy they've made eye contact with, and their understanding on what it's actually like out here is, hate to say it, no I don't, derived from trad wife Twitter accounts secretly run by gay men trying to catfish straight ones. I'm ready!
All right. The only thing I want to say about that is I'm not sure that dating apps are the best way to do things. I don't think that they're I don't know. I don't think that there's like a lot of bullshit that goes on there, and maybe I don't know, maybe men would be better served like in places that they want to be, whether if you're into sports, if you're athletic, if you're into hiking or backpacking or libraries, whatever. Maybe men should be in those spaces, and maybe those are better places to meet, potential, like mates, essentially.
Divorce liabilities. Okay.
I think dating apps are. There's a lot of like lying that goes on, and there's a lot of people that are pretty damaged, and I think in general you can probably like find people in your area too. So I don't know. Okay. I mean, don't listen to me because I married a girl from Canada, but
okay, but all right. So I'll just refer to the woman who broke the code of dating apps. If you're going to be a woman, probably dating apps aren't too bad for if you're a woman. Just basically what she did is she said that her girlfriends had bad experiences on Tinder, and so she sort of watched how they interacted with it. And they swiped right on men that she said she would never swipe right on, ever, because they just weren't relationship material, and you could tell.
Yeah.
It's like these women are going on Tinder to gamble. Oh, maybe if I play the slot machine, it'll pay out. And so she just went for a guy who looked like relationship material, and she won.
Yeah.
So if you're on Tinder, you might want to do it quickly before all the men leave. They realize that this is shit and just drop out. If you're a woman on Tinder, you just have to look for a man who looks like he's about as attractive as you and has the qualities necessary for a relationship, and you'll probably do okay.
Yeah.
If you're a man, just get the fuck off Tinder, because it's But anyway, but my overall point is she doesn't make the connection between what she calls traditional women just going and getting what does she mean by the second man that traditional women lay eyes on?
I'm pretty sure
they probably she said the second man, so they only go for like one. I don't know.
I think that she's saying that they don't really do enough like
Sampling?
Yeah, sampling, window shopping, whatever you want to
Maybe
call
that's why they're in marriage. Like maybe that's why the kingpin men are already married.
Yep.
Because the women were like, yeah, this is a good guy. That's it. Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Like, what do you embrace failure, lady. You embrace it. And then you complain about failing. Stop embracing it. That's a good sound. All right, that's all I had
That's the
to
fail
say.
sound from The Price is Right.
Okay, so if you guys enjoyed this show and you want to leave us a tip, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justtip. Very much appreciated. We will endeavor to read whatever you want to say to us out on the next show. You've been sort of quiet today. I guess it's sort of hump day, so.
Well, I mean, they're in the chat. They're talking. The live chat's pretty active. We just didn't get a lot of super chats. But you know what? It's fine. Like, you guys helped us get through last month, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Okay.
All right,
Are you done with your spiel?
Yeah, I'm done with my spiel.
Okay, so it's
Go
my
ahead.
turn. So,
Yeah.
all right. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about this. There is a link to the full-length video in the description, but we went through almost the whole thing. So, and please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame. I look forward to your comments, and we will talk to you all in the next video.
Right, activists are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.